Well, howdy VC. So yeah, I'm gonna recap the year that was 2025. It is New Year's Eve. We're getting it in. I'm gonna tell you about sort of my key used records that I found this year, talk about my targeted list, how many records I actually got from the targeted list, show you a bunch of other heavyweight records I got. There's a whole bunch of things in this video, just recapping all the major events this year when it comes to sort of music and record collecting for me. And I really like these kinds of things. For my own historical perspective, I like sort of keeping track and monitoring and looking back at what happened in a specific year. We'll get into it. I'm not going to talk in depth about a lot of these records because it'll just go too long. There's a lot here to show, but we'll go through them pretty quick, and I'll talk a little longer for like the key new records that were additions to the list for my targets, and then others that were really, big wants. But first, we're going to cover the latest Rochester dig.
I will see if I can get something cheap to bake.
We done here?
I have that one.
Joy's mulling. Pop shop.
And it was in his Discog section. But that was 8 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why did he check? I mean, did it like making money? I don't get it.
He doesn't. He doesn't take the time to look. By the way, we're on Canon camera.
Gotcha. This is the third. I think there's been 4 of them total. I couldn't go last year. This is the third one I've went to, and it mainly is myself, Dave, who comes up to visit Localbandography, whose family is about an hour south of Rochester. Brandon drives down Faust in the Head from Buffalo, and then we meet Joe, the analog archive. Usually he's only around for the bop shop portion, but this year we got to meet Joe again from Carbon Records, who has been a great year getting to know Joe, and he's been really so generous to send me some records to check out and review and listen to, from the Carbon Records catalog, and a couple have even made my favorite list of the year, which I'll link to, or maybe you even saw my last video, which was my favorite new music of the year. But anyway, we'll get to this. We'll do this Rochester dig quick. 10 a.m. we meet at the Record Archive, and their wall was plentiful and their bins were pretty stacked and full, but in this particular case it was full of like a giant reggae collection, clearly from somebody who I could see a lot of Tower Records stickers, so maybe they were New York City based. But to make a long story short, I went through a lot of that. I went through the new arrivals, I went through some of the jazz and some of the avant-garde, and I picked one wall record and one pretty, at least pricey bin record, and that's what we're listening to. And it's not one I was necessarily sold on or probably didn't need, but being that I'm such a big fan, I love Count Ossie's music. I got the third record, which with this really horrible cover. It's the Count Ossie and the Rasta Family, he's calling his group this time. That's what we're listening to. This is actually not on Discogs, at least this version. This is the US version. It's Meter Music Limited, but it's distributed by the Gowron Limited. So this is still in the original shrink, which I guess I will take off for everyone who loves to see me do that. Alex Stunty, I know. So you can see remnants of an old Tower sticker there. But this was in the bins, and there was a lot of tempting stuff in the bins, but I decided this was the one I used the most. This is some really ugly, baggy type shrink too. So there you go for all you de-shrink porn people. It does look much better like this. So that's what we're listening to. Good find there. The other record I pulled off the wall, it is a Fela Kuti. It's technically a U.S. first pressing of No Bread, right? Just Bread from 1975. But this is the U.S. version called Unnecessary Begging. There you go. You can see the Tower sticker there. Clearly from the same collection. It's on the Makosa label. Like I said, the U.S. pressing from, I think it's 82, but the Nigerian is from 75. So yeah, I would like to have that upgrade. But nice original inner sleeve and everything. This was from the wall. There was a few other Felas or Felas. So, you know, that was a good score. So those are the 2 records I got from Record Archive. You know, by the way, Dave recapped his finds. If you want to see what Dave found, you can check that out. I'll link to that below. Dave's getting out the ladder. There he goes, getting a record off the wall for Mr. Dave.
I don't have that one.
Dave, I got a really good record for you.
Let's see it.
Thoughts?
I just puked in my own mouth.
Ooh, show everybody what it is.
Complete horse shit.
We then go to the bop shop, which we figured we'd spend the most amount of time. Tom, the owner, put a bunch of his own records into the store, and he still had a lot left over from 2 or 3 other heavy-duty collections. We met Joe there, who was scoring a couple of major records, as he likes to. Brandon and myself. Now, I brought trade to Record Archive. I brought trade for 3 different stores of the 4 stores we went to. Nicely curated for each store. Well, actually, there were 2 bags, and to make a long story short, Record Archive took about 100 for me in trade, and Tom at the bop shop took about 150 for me in trade. So I bought just stuff that I had that I was either selling or things I was willing to let go, and that really helped, yes, get those records. I only had to pay a few bucks out of pocket for those, and then these next one from the bop shop. These were 2 heavier pieces, and these are the 2 records I got from Tom. And I believe both were out of his personal collection. Didn't get to go downstairs to the bop shop basement. Looked through the jazz bins, pulled out 3 or 4 records, decided not to get them after listening to them. A lot of interesting stuff. Those jazz bins are packed in there. And I thought for a minute about getting the Frank Lowe on Palm, but for the price it was actually a fair price, but I just decided when I listened to them, like, I think I'm good to pass. But these 2 I went for. This is the original press, and this one I was really looking for. And I really wanted the picture covered, just thinking they were the same year. I thought they were the same year, but no, this is the original first press of The Call, Mal Waldron on the Japo label. 2 copies of this there today. And 2 of us walked home with both copies. So yeah, from 1971, the Japo German label, very much like ECM at that time. This is an awesome one with Fred Bracewell, Eberhard Weber, and Jimmy Jackson. Organ, electric bass, and drums. Of course, Waldron on the electric piano here. This is a stunner. Really happy to get that first German press on the German Japo. And the other record was one not actively looking for, but thought I would find him at some point. Otherwise known as, I think, Lira. I just forgot his actual name, but we're talking about Cerrone. This is his first standalone record on the of the Cosmos label. This is the first pressing. This is really great. With Fabadou Dalmoye on percussion, Munir Bernard Fennell on cello, James Newton, who I'm a big fan of, on flute, and Cerrone, the bassist. Again, these are really awesome to find these. This is like the original cover with like the paste-on print there. In nice shape. The sleeve is not in the greatest, well, the sleeve is not amazing. It's got a crack there. So the price was reflective of it, really, but I don't mind that. The record's great shape. So thanks to the trade I got from Tom there, throw down some cash, and we were in business. And as you know, Dave scored a heavy one there, and Brandon did too. So we were there for a while. We popped into Hi-Fi Lounge, and I found this for $10, this art rock. I'm a big fan of Anthony Moore, and this is his record, original UK press on the Quango label. Flying Doesn't Help. Now, I haven't listened to any of these, with the exception of one. Just got these home, so it's only 2 days old. This was $10, original UK pressing. That store always has really fair prices, and it's smaller, but... So, did that quick, and then we walked over to Needle Drop, which is only a few steps away from Hi-Fi Lounge. All of these on the same street as Bop Shop. And Russ there, we met Joe from Carbon Records there. And Russ, the owner of Needle Drop, had an exceptional amount of high-quality records in there. He usually has some great stuff, but this was a cut above. I saw this, I knew I would have to get it and never see the Water Tower, or just Water Tower by Michael Hurley from 1984 on the Fundamental label. Fairly priced. Again, I brought trade in there, so I was able to knock down a chunk of these. This has the original version of Painted Design, one of Hurley's most beloved songs. And two others. Another one that was on the wall. Anytime I see like an African record that I'm interested in that is in really nice shape, I'm going to take notice. And I only have, one other William Onyeabor original. Now I have two, Atomic Bomb, Will Films Records label. I'm not going to pull it out at the moment, but because I am trying to move through pretty quick. Stunning shape. So this was a little on the higher end for what this sells for, but absolutely worth it. Trade, the whole thing. Atomic Man, 1978. Oh, sorry, I keep saying Atomic Bomb. What a great cover. The cover is in great shape too. The record is beautiful shape for African. Like, I'd call this a VG++. And the other record Dave picked out of the bin, a cheap one that he just handed to me and said, I think you might like this. And I'm sure this is Chris Cole will know this one. You Are the Ocean, very much a new age record. Forky Roth featuring Deborah Hens Conant on harp. So flute, zither, and harp, I'm pretty interested in. Dave knows me to know that. But this is not a hard record to find at all. It's from 1981, very much around the time of all that private issue new age. Celestial Water, music for relaxation, meditation, massage, and the unfolding of joy. This may be not very good, or maybe a little cheesy, but I'm definitely willing to try something like this for $8. Composed for flute, bamboo flute, zither, harp, and cello with the sounds of ocean and stream. So that's what I got there, and all went to our favorite place, one of my favorite places to eat, and with really good beer, Strange Bird in Rochester. And I had to hustle home, for my drive was an hour and 45 minutes each way that day, so I had to get home because we had bad weather conditions, as you may have saw my short that day. So a great dig in Rochester that day, and thanks to you guys for meeting up with me, Dave, Brandon, Joe. All right, so let's get into my actual recap portion. Sorry, I won't be putting much video or much track samples from what I have here, because I do want to keep this video. I don't want this to be an hour-long video. First off, it's been great over the last 6, 7, 8 months now. 6 months, 7 months, I'm not even sure. Being part of the Vinyl Community Social Club every Monday at 9:15 Eastern with Jason and Chris and Joel, Jason Rojas, the Groove Seeker, and Static ATX Records with various guests. And it's been fun, sort of getting out of my comfort zone and even getting into trouble a little bit on some of these streams. Really like being a part of that and yucking it up and throwing down some, controversial statements here and there. So that's been one interesting development for 2025. There's been a bunch of really, big things that have happened. The obvious other big thing is my band Material Objects releasing our debut LP after 2 EPs from 2022 and 2023 in revision. If anyone's still interested in buying this and wants to support the channel or the band, link below to buy this. We still have copies. We sold out of the CDs, but now we have more CDs. So you can get the CD if you want to get a CD. We sold out of all these from the pre-order and from the tour. We did a great tour in June, and that was super great, going with the Coke Dares, members of Magnolia Electric Company, Jason Molina's band. We were in DC, Durham, Asheville, Knoxville, Charlottesville, getting to hit stores in all those places and getting to meet people. It was a great 5 days on tour. Shout out to Sean helping me hook up that DC show. It was great selling records on tour, buying records on tour, playing all of our songs, so I'll never forget that. I have a lot of great memories of that. I think I did a recap of that. You can find it on my channel, but if anyone still wants to buy the record, link below. The CD was sold out. We now have more copies of the CD, and we still have t-shirts and stuff and our first record, so great year for Material Objects. Another big highlight was having Glenn Jones and Liam Grant come perform at my barn in the backyard of my house. So I was just reminded of this, My Garden State, the record that was a key record for me in his catalog, Glenn Jones' catalog, and I'm holding this copy. As you'll see, there's change for a guy who went, one of the concert attendees who went, who had to leave abruptly and said, "Hey, can I give you some money to buy your favorite Glenn Jones record? And I'll just get it from you." And he hasn't picked it up yet, but I still have it, as well as his change from October 7th it was. But it was such an amazing show. The guys did great too. They made a good amount of money. Stayed here. We had breakfast, dinner together, and everything. It was truly special having Glenn Jones, one of my favorite guitar players ever, come here and play. And Liam Grant, who's been here a few times now. One of the great up-and-coming guitarists today. So definitely thought back about this. And I've been looking through photos and things, and it was fun to remember that. So yeah, let's talk about my 2025 list, as we're like 15 minutes into this video. So it's just to tell you, I didn't project buying like 72 records this year as I did, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. But my total amount of records bought, I think, the way I count it right now, is 428. That's records I bought, new, used, whatever it is. It actually includes ones that were given to me too. So that's about where I'm at. Typically, it looks like 400 something. I think it's down a little bit, but it's about the same as last year. We'll see what next year brings. I think I'll do another targeted list. We'll see. I'm not going to predict whether I'm going to buy more or less next year. I have a bunch of things in motion. We'll see what happens. But I did 25 records for 2025, targeted like the big ones that I wanted to find. And obviously there were other big ones that I wanted to find that I talked about in previous vinyl absorption videos, so you can look back at those. But I'm going to show you and link below to my half-year update, which I showed, I think, 11 of the 25 that I wanted. And I really only have 2 new ones to add to it. Most of it all happened then. So I have a total of 13 records out of 25. Not bad. Better than 50%. That I hope to get this year. Definitely a few I didn't think I would land, and a few I thought I would that I didn't. As of right now, I have lines out on one more that might be a late breaker, but it will be after the new year. That's on the list. So I'm just going to briefly show you everything I showed in that half-year update from June or July, which I'll link to below if you want to go in depth with all of those. It's a full vinyl absorption video on those 11 records or whatever it is, so I'll just flip through those quickly. The between and the water's opened. Now I count this as one. I really only had one of these on the list, but all 3 of these were, I was hoping to find the Moondogs, which of course I talked about in the Moondog video. These are those European pressings, originals that are hard to find. So we'll count that as one. The Charles Tyler Live. The Bernd Rosengren Med Flera. Thank you, Jonas Vinyl Stockholm, for procuring that. This great one, the Sphere record on Strata. BJT, Baroque Jazz Trio, on Sarava. So happy. This is one I didn't think I'd land. This one I got early, the Personal Testimony by Lancaster, all by himself, overdubbing. Speed Limit, been talking to Steve Davis about this band on the RCA label, French Fusion. Jean Cohen Solal, Captain Tarthopom. I talked about this one. This was on the Connection label. This is also a bit of like a prog record. The Aura, amazing folk psych English on the Tangerine label. A couple of Flying Nuns. So happy to get the Stones. Another Day, Another Disc, Another Dollar. Great EP, early EP, the Goblin Mix. This next one is really the only true new edition that I haven't shown, at least on YouTube anyway. So this makes 13 out of 25. And this was one that Stunty awoke me to. Yeah, the Michael 45 stream that he does with Thomas. And I love this right away. Electrode, Moshé-Naïm, and Michel Magne. And this is from 1964, I believe it is. Or was it 1965? No, I didn't do full research on this. It's on the Ducretet Thomson. This has never been reissued, although Finders Keepers appears to have digital license to it, so maybe there'll be a Finders Keepers reissue. I don't think they reissued this. Maybe they did a CD, but this is the original French pressing, which I got the last, well, it was out of, I missed a copy that was in the US on eBay, and then a copy turned up in Europe that was fair enough. But I did have to get it from there, even through the whole tariff thing. Yeah, I was able to get it. I got this in, I think, maybe I got this right before the tariff started in August. A wonderful record. This is Jean-Claude Vanier, one of his early, productions, doing production work. And you can really sort of hear what he would do later, as a solo artist with the L'Enfant record. Really bold brass and orchestral arrangements, like daring sort of like feel to it. And this is Solal going to a little bit of a free piano style. The Michel Magne is the orchestrator here, but the assistant musical director Jean-Claude Vanier. Electrode est le premier disque d'une série que j'ai l'intention de réaliser. Startling record, and just stoked to have it. I really love how this one opens. The Electrodes track is so good. This almost brings to mind like those Taxi Driver, that score of Taxi Driver in a sense, the way those swells and those arrangements really bring like sort of real moody sort of pieces to it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. This is a jazz record, if you didn't know. Solal, Joue, Michel Magne, on the Ducretet Thomson label. So, yeah, there's more to talk about it, I guess, but there's not a ton of background to it. Real dynamic production to it. I love the drumming on this. Who is the drummer? Well, we'll pass on it for now, but perhaps this one I'll be talking about more in depth because it's one that, again, there's more to be played here, more to dig into really with this, as much as I enjoyed it. But I could probably play this even a bunch more times. I need more time with it because it just was it struck me in such a profound way when I first heard it. So thank you, Stunty. So yeah, that covers the 13. Like I said, I'll link below to the original vinyl Absorption where I talk about all those other records that I showed quickly. All right, let's get into some I haven't shown yet. And this first one, I'll just talk briefly about, but I really can't thank one of you enough. Tom, we'll just say Tom out in YouTube land, who I ran into at Wfmu, and he knew I was looking for this record because I put it on that Wfmu list, which is one reason why making a list like that can be helpful. But he said, hey, you have a record I know you want, and it was a record from like years ago that he remembered I showed that he's been looking for. And he said, I'll trade you this record if you trade me that. And I was like, let's talk. And after the record fair, within a week or two, we did. And I'm talking about the greatest dub album in the world, more dub, the original pressing, and a nice copy, nice minty copy. Scientist. On the JB Music label, I had the reissue of Desperately Wanted this original. So thank you, Tom. He traded this to me along with that record, the aforementioned record I had, as well as the reissue of this. I sent him the reissue of this Scientist record. So he said it was a nice, beautiful copy, and it sure is. 1980 Scientist, some of his finest dub music ever produced. Super young, as you can tell. Thank you so much, Tom. I haven't got a chance to talk about this. Obviously we talked directly, but really happy to add this. I never, just to get it in the U.S. even. It was hard to find this in the U.S. Best dub album in the world that's known, the first Scientist record from 1980. Originally a Superior Viaduct reissue. Introducing Scientists. Thank you again, Tom. This next one is one of the biggest mega wants I've ever found, and it worked out with a French jazz seller whose wife was traveling to the US around Christmas time to New York, and they were able to fly this record along with one other record, 2 records I bought from this dealer. They were able to fly it over, and I didn't have to pay for shipping, but he was able to offer me a better direct rate for this too. And this was another monster, another one I know Stunty is champion, but the Full Moon Ensemble, led by Claude Delflou, the part founder of BYG Actuel. This is from 1974. Their one and only record as a band. They would join Archie Shepp on a few of those BYG records. It's on the CBS label, French pressing only. And this is like an absolutely stunning, cosmic, obviously, free spiritual jazz record with just some amazing, amazing passages. The vocalist is just in cloud nine here. Sarah, just listed as Sarah here. I don't have her full name, but there's Jeff Sicard, alto, tenor, bass, clarinet. Gerard Copper, tenor sax, soprano sax, flute. Joseph Dejean, guitar. Martine Torre, electric piano. Ron Miller, the American bass, and Claude Delclue on drums. Here they are, gatefold record. And Sarah here, she just goes into bonkers land on the 101 West 85th Street song in King Kong, I believe it is. The whole first side is a tribute to Bob Kaufman, American writer, I believe it is. The title, by the way, is Crowded with Loneliness, and it's just an absolutely mind blower. If you like your cosmic jazz with a ton of freewheeling extravagance, with you know, interstellar sort of freak out political French vocals, that's basically what we have here. It's a stunning record. The final track, it's there's more to be said about this, and Stunty maybe even elaborated on a little more, but we have 43 West 85th Street, Memoire de Guerre, Memories of War. Beautiful album. I want to talk a lot more about this. And there is I believe there's a Soufflé Continu reissue that came out. It's in great shape, really great shape. I was able to, I'm going to probably do some repair work to that spine there. That was the only problem with it. So, totally thrilled and really stoked to have that. That's one of the big late additions this year. This just came in December, but I was working on getting it from this guy for a while, because he's like, you should wait for me to ship this. When my wife comes to New York, we'll ship it. So, big time landing there. Okay, I really wanted to talk a lot about VCLT, or some of my favorite VCLT I got, but it looks like I'm going to have not enough time. But I do want to mention Chris Cole sending me a great package of 4 records. Yeah, I only have 3 of the 4, but these 2, I was really happy to get the Amancio da Silva archival release, this Pandit Pranath record. There's one other one he sent me, which I don't have in front of me, and then this one, which is an unknown to me, Peter Apfelbaum, Pillars. We're listening to this now, with the Berkeley Arts Company and the Hieroglyphics Ensemble. That sounds awesome, doesn't it? I've only given this record one other listen, so we're going to listen to this a little bit now. But I wanted to mention VCLT. I'm not going to get too far into it. It was a super great year for that, and there was plenty of amazing stuff, but the video will not allow it. That'll take too long. So, Comus, first Utterance. Did not think I'd land this, but I found this price dropping. And this is direct from England, original English press, UK pressing from 1971 on the Dawn label. When it comes to like absolute freak folk, which is not a term I like, this is it. Ground Zero. It's English prog in a way, but with no synthesizers or electric instruments mainly. It's all done with folk instrumentation, and it's absolutely atonal at times, cathartic at times, climactic, and just messed up like this guy. I know 2025 year was a year that makes us feel kind of like that, but it was a good year in a lot of ways musically, in a lot of ways for me personally. So, but this was a flop at the time, but has come out over the last bunch of years to be such an important record for coming and developing this style of avant-garde folk. This could have been on the Vertigo label too, but it is on this Dawn, I believe a subsidiary of CBS, if I remember correctly. I'll show you the full gatefold so you get the full image of the mangled man. Really, this is one I really wanted to get. I had sold my reissue as part of my reissue purge. Was super excited to land this, and again, the dealer worked with me, and this came from the UK with no issues within a week. So that worked out well. Maybe it's Pi. I think this is a Pi Records subsidiary, actually. Again, would love to talk about this more, but absolutely one of my greatest acquisitions of the year, much like the Full Moon Ensemble, everything else. Here's one that came over with the Full Moon Ensemble from France. This is a Argentinian artist, but a French. They were based in France. Miguel Abuelo and Nada. This is a bit of a proggy sort of psychedelic folk record, I guess. Definitely has some hard rock leanings to it too. This is on that Moshé-Naïm label originally. This is the original pressing. I'll take it out quick. Moshé-Naïm. Yeah, I remember Psychedelic talking about this one actually. I had taken note of it from some other source. I don't quite remember, but I decided to include this with the Full Moon Ensemble. It's excellent. It's more of a rock record than anything actually, with some interesting drumming, some fusion, little folk psych in there. Yeah, really good. This is 19, don't have the year. I'll put it in, probably early 70s, 72, 73. Haven't shown that yet. Wow, there's a lot of good records. The Gilberto Gil, another self-titled, the Brazilian records, artists love them. This is the original mono, 1969. This is a stunner. I know Jason's a fan of this one and got this in Den Bosch. This is definitely in psychedelic mode. I got this off eBay in the US. Really great price and great condition. This is one, Dave. You got to check this one out if you haven't already. This is awesome. It's been a big year for getting Brazilian records, as we'll show some more of shortly, but really happy to have gotten that. Want to talk more about this, but I haven't talked about these at all on the channel, so you're getting just a taste. Here's one I've been stalking for many years, Vito Ricci and the Music from Memory. Vito Ricci, Music from Memory. This used to be a cheap record, and then people were trying to get all kinds of exorbitant money for it. It finally came to a reasonable price, and then I was able to make an offer on it, and I got it for what I really wanted to pay for it. It was way less than what I could have bought it for 2 years ago at Wfmu. It was a little high there too, but modern composer, synth, a little bit of weirdness, some synth pop. I have the Music from Memory compilation of him, and that's obviously where that label took this from. It's on the Creation label from 1985, I guess it is. Again, I want to talk more. I'm repeating myself. If you followed me, you know that I had the second pressing of this. I didn't trade it at WFMU. I decided to keep it and sell it, and I'm glad I did because I was able to sell it pretty quickly and turn it into a nice copy on Green Brain, the second Harmonia record. Really wanted to make that happen, and I did. It was a great year of trading. You know, I was hosting the vinyl swaps here. The bar that we were doing closed, but hopefully I can get a new venue sorted. This was one of my greatest trades this year with Angry Mom. It actually happened technically at the store, but I first saw it. He first brought this to the swap, and I was able to I had a couple of big psych pieces that George wanted, the owner. George, of course, you know George, I've talked about him. But this is Turkish Woman at the Bath. It's actually this pressing. It doesn't have the deep groove, but I think it's essentially the same year. This essentially is Chick Corea's band, got reissued under Chick Corea's name, but it's Pete Della Rocca's project and session. It's a stunning record. I absolutely love what Corea does on this too. You also have Walter Booker and John Gilmore, right? Of course, on saxophone. John Gilmore's not seen outside of the Sun Ra band too much, but it's on the Douglas label. And I don't think people... you probably didn't expect me to show that one there, but it was a trade I had to make. It's a beautiful copy in excellent shape, and it didn't cost me anything, so... stoked. Some of the other highlights I traded from at the vinyl swap. This one's from Cedric. Shout out to Cedric. This is an awesome Marion Brown record on the bass label. It's a bass reissue, but this is an interesting version of it. I did a bunch of trades. I'll just show that. And then also with my friend Nick, I traded for this Moon Music Universe featuring Ingrid Kahlberger, Dave Holland and Friends. Peach Church Concerts. It's a private pressing. So I really love doing the vinyl swap this year. All right, we're almost done. My segment here is following John Fahey every year, all year, every year. I'm constantly looking to upgrade or get those few last heavy-duty rarities from John Fahey, obviously one of my all-time favorite artists. And this, there's only one pressing of each of these. There's 2 different sessions, and these are the earliest. These are essentially reissues of the very first recordings John Fahey made that were released privately. And they reissued it once on the Takoma label once he got more established. But they only did one pressing of that. And both covers look exactly the same, but this is Early Sessions Volume 1. This popped up on eBay. And I just missed Volume 2. The seller, this came up for an absolutely great price. I've only seen this one other time, 2 other times actually, and Stunty can tell you about that. This came up on eBay. My search term was paid off, although it wasn't quick enough to get Volume 2. It must have sold instantly, as the seller told me. I didn't know he had Volume 2. I bought this instantly at the price it was at. I was like, yes. And I asked him, hey, do you happen to have Volume 2? And he said, I actually sold that first and foremost. So if you get this, Volume 1 and Volume 2, it's the same sleeve, as you can see. But it's the double, it's 2 records, separate releases. But the record itself is on those black Takoma labels, the first black Takoma labels. It is 2 different catalog numbers. So that was a big piece to add. I still need Volume 2, but, you know, didn't think I'd find this year. And the other one is much more common, but this version is not that easy. And I'm almost a completist with John Fahey. This is the only other record I want to show for Fahey. When it comes to the early records, I want to really track down all the different artwork, because he did different artwork for each reissue, plus the UK had a different artwork. But I didn't have the most common artwork for Volume 2, and I'm still looking for Volume 3 and 1, and with this design, this is mostly what you see the Fahey records in. Now most people don't realize the first label made it to each different cover design, so this, it all probably within the same year or 2. This is Volume 2, Death Chants, Breakdowns, and Military Waltzes. The 3rd cover, the 2nd is the psychedelic. Well, actually, this is the 4th cover. The 3rd is the psychedelic, the 2nd is the white one that everyone thinks is the first, and the private press one is like a different font and everything. I'll throw those in if I remember. But I am trying to collect these covers, so this is the first edition. A lot of times you find this with the later labels, but this is the first edition with that artwork, with the black, the silver and black, silver print on black, and the stripe. Those are always most definitely, probably the first pressing for Takoma. But as I said, with Fahey, it's a little confusing because you had all this different artwork. Okay. A few other things. It's been a hell of a year, as you're seeing. Let's see. Oh yeah, Wfmu 2025 was awesome. I just want to show a few highlights from that. I'll link if I remember. You can find all these videos on my channel, but some of the key ones I found there, 2 key ones. The Dreamies record, a psychedelic excursion that takes you into all different kinds of styles. This is many repressings of this. This includes the original Lizard, everything. This is Bill Holt, 1973 Stone Theater private pressing. This is a mind-blowing journey that will take you on. It starts out like a bit of a space rock thing, but it just turns into this almost avant-garde symphony. It's definitely headspace music, so I got this from a Philly dealer. Just name slipped me all of a sudden, but... And obviously the first record I bought that day, Milton Nascimento with Lo Borges, Club de Esquina, first pressing on Odeon. WFMU was a lot of great memories this year, getting to see everyone I saw, all you people out there who saw me, Dave, Brandon, Frank, and finding some great records. So yeah, I hated to sort of skip through some of those, you know, big pieces that I haven't shown yet here. They're really obviously major. Hopefully I can talk more about them. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of them. Yeah, there was a lot of VCLT. I wanted to thank people. I don't want to be showy or anything about the VCLT, but I definitely appreciate everyone's taking the time and everything to send them. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. I'm not going to get into everyone's stuff. Maybe I'll, again, more fodder for me to show another time. Oh, one I should show it. I mean, Chris, the Groove Seeker, he sent me 2 records. I wanted to show this Heat Miser reissue, the expanded reissue that came out via Third Man this year, which I didn't have this, so Chris sent me this and one other record too, so thank you, my friend. Thank you for thinking of me and sending this my way. Of course, anything with Elliott Smith I'm going to be interested in, the expanded reissue of Mike City Sons. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the channel, watching, commenting, giving me suggestions, all of it. It's been a great year. A lot of great records this year. It's hard to beat this year. We'll see what next year brings. All right, everyone. Take care and enjoy the New Year's. Be good out there. You know, don't drink too much. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't be silly. Don't be hasty. I'll see you in 2026 for more Hijinks records. Vinyl tag? Maybe. We'll see. It's plenty of surprises on the horizon. Hopefully, a couple of things I can announce soon. So, all right. Take care.